Welcome to Ink and Echo, the show where we're always cracking beverages. What do you got there, Andy?
This is a Firestone Walker Luponic Distortion number 5.
Dang, I should have waited to open mine.
Do you have the same one?
No. I've got a peach pear LaCroix.
Oh.
So look out, everybody. Getting crazy with my no additives, calories, artificial anything over here. Hey, before we get too far into this, I want to say, if you guys enjoyed our last conversation with Joel from Charlotte's Web,
or if you just enjoyed feeling better than you feel right now.
If you just want to feel doggone good, if you're tired of feeling sick and ugly and fat and almost dead all the time, then no, really, if you want to try Charlotte's Web hemp, then the kind folks over there have given us a discount code that is only good through the end of April. And that code is, the coupon code is INKECHO10, and that's capital I, capital E, and 10. So INKECHO10, go to cwhemp.com by April 30th, and you will get 10% off your entire order. That's amazing for us.
Use your tax refund. Put it towards yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Stock up on the hemp.
Yep.
The cannabinoids, the cannabidiol.
We have to talk about it like Pete Holmes does. Like, it doesn't get you high. It doesn't have the psychoactive ingredient, THC.
If I was on your weed, I'd tell you I was on your weed. That's how Pete would say. It's just a little left. A left here. I can't do Pete Holmes. I'm just doing a nasally.
No, that was not him at all. But
yeah, no.
You'll just feel better. I promise. You'll sleep better. Anyway. Hey, Josh.
Amen. Hey.
We're here, just us again. Go ahead.
I've been reading.
Really?
Stephen King. King. Heard of him? I'm back to the King.
Yeah.
After a long hold off. I don't think I've read
hiatus?
any. Let me use my own words. I've been notoriously bad about my. I've been notoriously bad about my vocabulary lately. Only on air.
I know. You're
anyhow. And
interestingly bad at it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Lack of sleep. I really do think that is part of it. I've noticed it. Believe me, I hate when I can't come up with words.
I was thinking this morning, what if we recorded our shows in the morning? Do you think we would sound completely different?
We'd be like fucking Bob and Tom or whatever.
Bob and Tom. That's
playing
old school.
AC/DC intros and
I want you to say what you're saying, but like we always record these at the end of a day, and I'm always tired and have to hype myself up to do this. But imagine like getting up, exercising, and then doing this podcast. What that would feel like.
Exercising. We would both have to begin that first.
I started running a little bit last week, but anyway, go ahead. Tell your story.
Okay. Well, here's the reason this is significant. And Andy, you know I love Stephen King, but our listeners might not. For 5 months, basically since last October, November, something like that, I haven't read any fiction, which is rare for me because
you've been working on your damn movie.
Well, I've been working on myself with Christian-y books and self-help books, frankly, reading about all that vulnerability shit. So, but it's true. No, I just said regular shit.
I know.
But truly, it was like I didn't have the bandwidth for fiction. So coming back to specifically King, my favorite, and I'm reading The Bazaar of Bad Dreams, which is a short story collection.
I believe I've read that one.
Yeah, you totally have, because you read it before me.
What the hell? Crazy.
And, at the beginning, before each story, he will give a little preamble, kind of an intro as to maybe where the idea came from or whatever. And I just had forgotten what a great pleasure it is to read King, because the way he talks about writing makes me want to write more. It's like he's my original influence, really. And I think just hearing from someone who has been steadily writing for 50 years and just he's so confident and passionate about it, and he just loves to do it, and just has a way of talking about it that's just makes me go, hell yeah, I'm ready to write now. And I'm enjoying this story that he's telling me. So anyway, that was just truly a refreshing thing to come back to after months of literally trying to better myself by reading work that's like about digging into your heart and your mind and finding out what the fuck is wrong with you, and just coming back to some stories that are enjoyable and fun and still have depth and artfulness. And so anyway.
So what gave you the time to be able to do that? Or did you have some arbitrary, like, I've got to...
Oh, no. Yeah, there was no
okay.
specific time limit. It was just, I would sit down and try to read something fictional, and it was almost as if I felt there was no joy in it at all. I was just like, I feel so internally bad that I can't even enjoy this right now.
Dang.
Yeah.
That sucks. But does that mean that part's better now? That part of you?
It's certainly, I'm coming out of a bad phase, I would say. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been good. I've learned a lot and grown, I would hope, and matured. But yeah, it was just a strange thing.
So tell us what you've learned. Let's just go. Let's go there.
Well,
if you want to go there.
So what? Oh, yeah, of course. That's like what this show is.
We're going there. The Going There show.
One of the books I read, Levi recommended, which was Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. That actually ended up
and that would be Levi the poet, former guest and friend of ours. Go ahead.
I would hope our people know who that is.
Well, I don't want to assume.
That was actually probably one of my least favorite ones. And
wait, say the name again. I was busy correcting you. What was it?
It's the book is called Daring Greatly, and it's by Brene Brown, and okay. She's I don't know, a human psychologist. I'm not sure what her official title would be, but she kind of got famous relatively in 2010 for a TED Talk that went viral that was about vulnerability. And so her whole shtick is just, we're all walking around with a bunch of shame all the time, and that's influencing everything else that we do. Mm-hmm. Although most people are not used to recognizing that or addressing it, and they just kind of constantly self-medicate and distract themselves. So the reason why hers was one of my least favorite, and you'll maybe give me shit for this, but is, I mean, she's not approaching it. She's not a Christian and is not approaching it from that perspective. And by the end of the book, I was just like, well, this is great stuff, but to me, it doesn't feel like new territory. Because I'm so used to existing there anyway. And I mean, frankly, I'm of the belief, I might be wrong, but that without a God, without Christ, like all of this is just humans trying really hard to be better, that adds up to nothing in the end.
Yeah.
You know, like without God, I'm the most extreme nihilist ever. And
sure.
You know, so anyway, that was a long answer. That was one of the things I read, but I read a lot of things in that vein, and some by Timothy Keller, some by Richard Rohr. But I think just, I mean, I feel like everything I could say I've touched on here before, but it's just that, yeah, like I've got tons of guilt. I'm super afraid of what people think of me. I've got a lot of shame because of my mother. And it's just sort of, I don't know, it's very helpful to have these things validated and then speak them out loud and like deal with them instead of just being like, why am I drinking all the time? Because I don't want to feel anything. Or like, why do I feel such a draw to pornography? You know, maybe the reason isn't surface level here. Like maybe, and anyway, all that, I'm being hypothetical, but these were direct answers that I landed upon of just, I'm soothing myself with these destructive things because of incredible hurt deep down that I've not recognized and dealt with. So anyway.
Well, good on you for getting better, I guess.
Well, it's like it's a
or starting to get better
process for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be lifelong, I don't doubt, but I'm glad that this is happening now at 29 and not at 45.
Sure.
And I don't know. I just I can't live the rest of my life if I'm not feeling well internally. I've said that before here. And I've also realized part of my existence is just not feeling well mentally and spiritually, and just feeling off, and constantly trying to find what is center, what is true.
Right.
I think there are a lot of people walking around not dealing with this stuff, and that maybe that's why there's a lot of problems and addictions in the world. I really believe that. So anyway,
Right.
I can stop talking now. What do you think?
No, it's just interesting hearing you talk about it, because I'm thinking about the differences between you and me. And I mean, for one, I don't, those specific things you talked about, like shame and guilt, I don't really feel those too strongly.
I'll bet they're there. They're deep
Well,
down.
okay, sure, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll read the book you didn't like. But I'm just like, you were talking about because I think there is like a thing that's sitting in me that's kind of always there, that's like unsettled.
Mm-hmm.
But at least now, I was even thinking about this earlier today, I feel like it is related to creative output at this point.
Yeah.
Like everything else in my life, I feel like is really, really good, and I'm happy with my family. Good. Here's what I was thinking about today, is because I was building more panels for my other room, the live room in my studio, and I was really enjoying myself. And then I sort of came to the realization, I don't know why, but I was like, I'm really afraid of being done with this and then having to make music again. Like I'm dreading it, and I'm simultaneously dreading it and really wanting to do it, which is just a terrible feeling, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's just, this kind of goes back to stuff I've talked about before. Like I do have somewhat of a desire, smaller or bigger, depending on the day, to just remove myself from this, at least the business part of this creative endeavor, and just be like, there's too much on this. And like I talked about a couple weeks ago with the imposter syndrome, like that sits with me. Like right now, today, I was dealing with sending out new albums, or starting to send out my new album to people to have them review it. And I was just like, ugh, I feel terrible about it and what people are going to think about it. And I don't know, man, and it's not what people think about it, it's what I think about it. Because I think that I've done a poor job, and that everyone is going to realize it. And instead of me coming out being like, man, I think this thing I did is cool, and then people talk shit about it, like that's a different thing. I'm talking shit about myself inside and my creative things. So that's been on my mind. I feel like that's where my, knot in my stomach is from. Unless, I don't know. The other thing is, dude, I can't read those kind of books. I've tried. I cannot read books like that. It is the most boring thing ever. But that's just a little aside.
I hear you. I used to be the same way. And it might just be a matter of finding authors who you can stand, so it doesn't feel so textbooky or so corny.
Right.
But yeah, as to what you said, I've sensed a bit of stalling in you lately, and that isn't critical, and that has nothing to do with my, the fact
with
that
the
you're
work
working.
I need to do for you.
No, it's just in general, like over the last year, I've seen you maybe slow down a bit, or just like procrastinate.
Yeah, and there's weird things going on in my head, like even today. And I don't know, I think this might be like a legit OCD thing or something, but whenever I try to play my guitar, I'll be super distracted by something. Or mostly, this is going to sound insane kind of, but I've been really obsessed and distracted by the like white noise that's coming out of my amp and my guitar.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm trying to minimize it. And plus I'm in this new space and I'm trying to figure it out. So I have these anxieties about like, well, maybe the power isn't clean enough, and so I'm getting a weird buzz in my amps that shouldn't be there. So like literally before we got on this podcast, I was lugging an amp out of my room, out of my studio, back into the house, and like plugging it into 8 different outlets and turning it on and seeing what it sounded like in different parts of the house. And so I don't know, there's just these little things that I should, like, it's probably fine, it's probably normal, but they're just like keeping me from, like, I could have sat and played guitar for 45 minutes. Instead, I was lugging an amp around like an idiot. And so there's something wrong there. It's worse than it has been in the past.
Yeah. That makes me think of that episode of Breaking Bad where they're just trying to catch the fly the entire time,
yes.
And so they're not doing
accomplishing
their work.
anything. Yes,
Anyway,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that, and it's a terrible feeling. I mean,
yeah.
In my case, it's that I could be writing and I'm looking at Reddit for 45 minutes.
Sure.
Or anyway, yeah, just being distracted in general. And there's something like hovering just behind my head that's like, hey, this is free time. Like, you could be writing right now.
And I feel like it's potentially going to get worse for me once the album is out, because then I'll be like, oh, like, I've got to do this again now.
Yeah.
Like, the pressure only goes up. This is honestly, in releasing an album, this is my absolute favorite part of the cycle, where I'm done with it.
Right before it's...
Yeah, I'm done with it and I'm sitting on it, but it's not out yet. And I'm like, I still have a thing in my pocket that I can give you. But then once I let that go, it's like, well, now I've got nothing and I've got to do that whole thing again and just try to figure out how to make it less terrible than last time. I always end up sounding negative, but it's still this is what I want to do and love to do. It's just, there's some weird stuff going on in my head about it. And I'm sure doing it for a living is probably the biggest part of it. I just am trying to not be so OCD, or I don't know, just figure out what's broken, and let me get back to actually making music again.
Well, okay, 2 things. One, just briefly, I think you should, as soon as possible, start working on the next one and get other people involved right away. Yeah. Because... I don't know, something I learned in the pre-production of making the movie is, stepping into it going, well, how does a movie even start? And I came to find out it's just like, well, you start telling people about it who are going to work on it. And then you just
snowball.
Begin. Yeah. And then, because then you have a little bit of accountability to keep movement up. And
I'll say to that point, before you go to your second one, is like, one thing I'm excited about. Well, so here's what my next 6 months-ish is like. So in the next couple weeks, I'm finishing up your soundtrack. I'm starting a contract project where I'm writing 4 songs for a licensing agency. And then if I get those done, that'll get me in time to rehearse for this tour that I'm doing in the summer. So I'll be planning that. Great. And then after the tour, I have, I guess they're tentative plans, but in my mind, they're solid plans. A friend of mine, I'm not going to say who or what yet, but I have someone who is going to come here for a week or so, and we're going to work on music together and do an album together.
Oh.
So,
do I know who it is?
Maybe. I don't know. I'll tell you later. But it's just, I'm excited to, there's all those things mostly involve other people.
That's a great year coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that'll at least get, hopefully once, those things happen and are happening, I'll be like back to wanting to do things again.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Having some diversity to break up your year.
Yes. So sorry, what was your second thing? Well, unless you weren't done with the first thing.
No, that was all. But just that, like, there's nothing stopping you from at least telling people your plans right away, because then they might ask you, and it'll be like, oh yeah, let's get going on that. Not that there's any rush, but just to keep things moving, so you don't sit stagnant for 3 months or something.
Exactly.
But so the second point was back to like what I was reading. And your feeling today and sending out your album for reviews is that, I don't know, I'm not going to be able to articulate this well, but it's like there's a balance between arrogance and thinking what you do is amazing and having enough self-confidence and like assuredness of what you've done to that other people's opinions get eliminated, essentially. And in the, I mean, if I may just explain like how it was specifically brought up in my reading, but just if you put it on a personal level, or me worrying about what people think, like put it down to my deepest desire is just for people to like me and for them to understand me well. But if I am so understood completely by God and so sort of self-satisfied and secure in that, then the need for others to like me gets eliminated. So anyway, that can easily apply to art, you know, and it's not, that's why I say it's a careful balance. And I know you know that, and I don't think you'd ever put something out and be like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
But still, there's like that. I do think it's possible for you to be so secure in what you've made that it's just like you almost don't need anyone else's validation.
Right.
You know?
And I do feel that in a certain sense. I mean, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is like, I don't really care if people don't like it or anything, because it's what I made at the time. It's a representation of who I was at the time. And it's like, that's just what it was. I sat down and this was what came out. I didn't write it for you, but you're able to listen to it. So take it or leave it. It's fine. But it's really just my personal enjoyment of the thing. And I wish I could come out of it and be like, yeah, I'm like I'm more satisfied. You know, I just want to be a little more satisfied. I don't want to be like 100%. I don't think that's reasonable, but just a little more, you know, give me a little more.
Right.
So.
And satisfied to your own standards too.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing for me right now.
Right.
So,
you know, this is a little bit of a change of subject, but talking to Brandon Vetter a couple weeks ago, and then just in recent weeks, even having been connected to a couple of other filmmaker people, in hearing them talk, they have their current thing that they're making, and then they have their next 2 or 3 projects lined up.
Interesting.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting paid to do those, but they have like 3 movies in various stages of production. And I started getting a little anxious about that and being like, oh shit, should I be doing that?
Yeah.
But I mean, and here's where I don't know. So this is why we should talk about it. I for sure want to make more movies, but I don't necessarily think the very next thing I want to do right now is another movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was like, do you want to be a filmmaker now? Is that your thing? Because I don't see that for you necessarily.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I think I'll treat it like everything else I've done and just put one thing out and then do something different. I mean, that has become the trend, but I mean, right now I just would like to write some more stories, and but I don't know. I worry about it because if I don't keep momentum up in the film world, does that mean I'm going to be like Cordial Kill will come out and then it'll be forgotten, and 2 years later I'm like, hey, now I want to do something, and then the opportunities will be gone. It's hard to know.
Right.
But see, I'd like to be, I know that I will make more movies, and I'd like to make a feature movie and all that. But
and it's interesting because you're talking about seeing what these other people are doing, and they're obviously on, I mean, sort of a standard filmmaker path, right? That's like what you do if that's what you're going for.
More solidified in that track, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think it's in the long run, it's probably to your benefit to make your own path and do what you want to do, even if it's a bunch of different things. Like, I think that'll serve you better in the long run, even though if right now it might feel like you're missing out on something. At least that's what I think. I mean, there's not even necessarily an evidence you could provide to prove that, but I think for overall happiness, that's probably the best thing to do, I think.
Yeah, and that's mostly what I've landed on too, but I still worry about it some days. I daydream, frankly, about like, what if Cordial Kill wins a couple of awards at little festivals and stuff? And they're like, so what's your next project? And I'm
what's
like,
next for Josh Gaines?
I could just I can see that
Joshua, I love Cordial Kill. Just want to know what's next for you.
Listeners, what you working on? Oh my gosh, I feel so stupid. But anyway, yes, that exact thing. And they all expect you to be like, oh well, yeah, I got this great idea for a Mars movie. And I mean, okay, if that situation arises, I'll just tell you listeners right now, I'm probably going to lie and just be like, well, Cordial Kill is actually a full-length movie, and this is just the first third or something, which is not necessarily a lie. But, just to have an easy answer to get an interviewer off my back, because I'll be just like drowning in flash bulbs.
Totally.
And, sunglasses and autographs.
The big old one-use bulbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I think I'm sure in hindsight I will appreciate this thought process, but right now I'm fearful that it's like, well, I might spin my wheels forever and do a lot of little things that never go anywhere.
Right.
But
I'm curious. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's guys like Nick Cave, who I'm not super familiar with his work, but he's written scripts, he's written books, but his main thing is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Like, he kind of dips in everywhere, and so does Rob Zombie.
I was going to say Rob Zombie. Yeah, that's a great example.
So anyway, those guys make me feel a little better because obviously they can cross the line of art forms. So
right. I was just thinking, because I'm trying to figure out how to better use my day. Like, it's been kind of nice because I have these like manual labor things that I need to do to like build these panels and do stuff to the studio. And so the last couple of weeks have been very full because I'm like building things for half a day, and then I have to sit at a computer and make a YouTube video like trailer for my album, and like I have things to do, but I'm trying to figure out, once I can sort of get all this stuff behind me, like how I could potentially basically be better at multitasking, because I've never been good at it. Like, I have one project I'm working on, and I'm not going to do the other one until this is done. And then once I get burned out on that project in the day, I don't really do anything else for the rest of the day. And I don't want to do that anymore, really. I want to figure out how I could, I guess, like pivot and be like, okay, well, I'm done with this, so now I can put my energy into this other thing.
Right.
And so that's something I'm trying to figure out. But do you have room for anything like that? Like, I know with your movie, you couldn't really do anything else. You couldn't even read books. But do you have any thoughts about that? Like, you want to, I don't know, start writing stories, but then also have other things in the fire? Is that even a remote possibility given your life right now?
Yeah, I think so.
And what would those things be then?
I mean, I guess, like, contrary to what I just said, it would be writing stories and like developing a movie. And I know that's an obscure term, but that would probably mean like working on a script simultaneously, and because my friend Austin and I want to make something together at some point. Yeah. And except in this case, he would probably be a little more in the director role, and I would just be, I don't know, the pre-production stuff is really fun. So I get very energized doing all that and just coming up with the look and storyboards and, ideas, and helping it move forward. It's not just a big dumb brainstorm. It'd probably be something like that. I've got my toes dipped in the movie world, but I'm not like the pirate or the captain of the ship. Oh my gosh. The pirate of the ship. Man, I'm such a fucking moron. This is why I write, is so that I can sit down and be like, the dog went to the library.
Because I just see you typing, you're like,
the pirate of the ship. Oh, what? That's not what I mean.
I just tried to do that joke and stopped my recording, so I dropped out there for a second like an idiot.
Anyway, where were we? So writing, doing another movie simultaneously.
We're just talking about multitasking goals. I mean, this is only kind of being realized to my brain now. That was a dumb thing to say. I'm only just in this moment realizing that's the thing I want to do. Because I think I used to take sort of pride in saying like, well, like I just have to focus on one thing, and then once it's done, then I can move on to the next thing. Like, I don't think that that's good for my progress or my career at this point.
Sure.
Because I need to push myself to be able to do more things at the same time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I loathe the idea of this until loathed until I finally adopted it. But I mean, could you ever make little schedules for yourself, or do one of those weird browser things that's like, bing, you've used 30 minutes on this task, and like now move on or something?
I'd really love to find something like that works for me, but I haven't really. There are things like I mentioned earlier that I did start just trying to go running. Yeah. And just like getting up and running, it's so stupid because I live in a beautiful place. I can just run down the dirt road and it's great and terrific, and I feel wonderful for the rest of the day, and I sleep better that night, and there's like zero reason that I should be doing that. It's stupid when I don't. So I would like to hold to that because I think it makes me more productive.
I mean, except that it takes effort. Like, there's the reason that it's you know, like, but for anyone, it does take discipline to get in those rhythms.
Right, but it's just the payoff is so big, like immediately, that you know, for 30 to 45 minutes of just a little bit of discomfort. Jeez, you're rubbing off on me. The ability to feel good for the rest of the day, like everybody in the world should take an opportunity like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm 30 years old, and I feel like I just talked about how I need to exercise and schedule well, which I feel like I should have figured this shit out like 10 years ago. And a lot of people I feel like have, and a lot of those people are my parents because they're insane.
Yeah. I mean, not to give people our age an excuse, but I mean, we are bombarded with things to take our attention away. I mean, and I really think there is some validity to that. Our parents grew up in a simpler world where there were not cell phones, and you know, your schedule, your routine just became. Anyway, I know what you're saying, and I still have those same like sort of detriments where I wish I was a little more regimented.
Right.
But yeah.
Josh, you think it's time for our sponsor?
Let's get on to that.
Do we have one? Okay, here we go.
Well, you know how a while ago, and maybe still, a whole bunch of people were playing Pokemon Go. That crazy game, Og Real, or whatever it is, where you walk around in the real life world and you throw fucking little golf balls at dogs or something.
The old Augie reality, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I was thinking that they ought to come up with something better for that technology.
Let me guess. Someone did, right? Did someone?
I hope they did.
What do you? All right. Yeah. No. Here it is. This is what people have developed, because we have these hordes of kids, you know, just invading
walking in front of buses and stuff.
Yeah,
walking off of cliffs.
The baby boomers just figured out how to keep us in our houses, you know? And then this app comes along and it gets all the nerds off the couches, and they're trying to throw their golf balls at dogs or whatever. So they put out this new app. Today's sponsor is Pokemon Stop. And so what this does is what does it do, Josh?
Well, and to be clear, it's not spelled Pokemon. It's spelled Pokemon, like Pokey. Pokey. Stop, because Pokemon is a trademark, but these guys are Pokemon Stop.
Yep.
And
Pokemon Stop.
what it does is you install it on your phone in addition to Pokemon Go, and every time you try to open Pokemon Go, it just cock blocks the app, and it opens instead, and it says, "Why don't you go send a analog fax to someone from your fax machine, or go check your America Online account?"
Why don't you go file your taxes? It's never too early to prepare for tax filing.
Right. It just gives you suggestions of the analog world. It's like, why don't you go dial down the center for AT&T, collect calls or whatever? And
why don't you go shred your bank statements? No one needs to see those anymore.
Yeah, so Pokemon Stop, it's helping the world get back to the indoors.
Get back in the couch.
And
get back home.
And well, and if you want, you can get on Postmates and order some real golf balls and throw them at real dogs, and they won't be caught inside it because Pokemon is fake and it's witchcraft and Christians shouldn't play it, just like Harry Potter. And so anyway, Pokemon Stop. It's just real great. It suggests that you send letters to pen pals and that you just
send a postcard.
Yeah. You can do all sorts of things. Get back to the real life world over here
with
together.
Pokemon Stop. Great.
Thanks, Pokemon Stop.
Great. Well,
I think I've said the F word an extra lot on this show, but I feel fine about it. Previously, I would have had some trepidation about saying it that frequently.
I don't think there were any cuss words on our last episode.
Oh man, we got Joel said "fuck the business" at one point, and I was like, "Yeah, Joel, give us that red E."
All right, so Joel said it. Great. I was worried we were going without an F-bomb.
There's something funny about going, like I could have said, throwing a golf ball at a dog, but it's funnier to say throwing a fucking golf ball at a dog.
Fucking.
Like it, that's a terribly childish and vulgar thing, but it's like millennials get it. They're like, yeah, that's funny, that little extra adjective or whatever it is.
That's something I was thinking about, and maybe this conversation has played out the whole curse word conversation, but do you think any word is inherently good or bad? You know what I
mean? No.
I just mean like there are people who would say like fuck is a bad word. That's a bad word. Like just no, do not ever say it. And I think the words are only good or bad in the context that they're in. Like no word is bad. I don't think. It's like I'm not going to say the F word in front of certain members of my family because I respect them and they wouldn't like it, and so that's fine. But I could say it here or to you. I could literally say "fuck you, Josh." Hey, fuck you!
and that's
you
my
laughed.
response to laugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a bad thing for me to say just then.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's context. It's the company present.
Right.
Yeah, but a word, there's no way it could, because it's just, if you break out, if you zoom out a little, like off the planet and think about what words are, it's like, oh shit.
Wait, what?
These are just just sounds that our mouths make. That I know that was a very high thought, but
I'm picturing it like an astronaut on the moon being like, oh shit. Words are crazy, man.
Oh.
Like that's what an astronaut is. He's taking his first steps on the moon. He's like, what are words, man?
Yeah. But really, have you ever said a word so many times in a row that it became meaningless and you forgot what it was? That's a weird thing to trick your brain with.
Yeah.
I had a point with that. Anyway.
Zooming out.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like part of me knows that I'm being ridiculous, and I don't actually go around in regular life being like, look at this fucking guy, or
Oh yeah.
But it's funny, and even I a couple of years ago would have been like Like, that's so
right.
vulgar, or like, oh, that's not necessary, Josh. Because other people will take it a little to the extreme.
Sure.
They'll just throw it around so often that it's like, all right, can just stop. It's not
right.
It's not effective anymore. You've used it so much. So anyway,
well, and they're not aware of context, so they're just throwing it around willy nilly, if you will.
I will. Yeah, it's a curious thing. Well, how's the old album pre-order going?
It's going well. Do you want numbers? What do you want?
I
what
just
do you
wanted
know?
your general feeling about it. And
I think I feel good. So here's what's happening. Yeah, this will be a good thing to talk about. So today is Tuesday, so this isn't coming out for a few days. By the time this comes out, I will have released a second trailer for the album.
Oh.
So what happens is, or at least what happened, so this past Friday, I put out the first trailer, and people, went to the website, pre-ordered it, whatever. So there was like a big jump, and then, even today, Tuesday, there's very few pre-orders coming in. So that's fine. It's just the whole game right now is to constantly be posting stuff.
Right.
And making sure people are aware of all the different vinyl options and going to all the different places. And,
I noticed you staggered it a little bit. Like, the initial announcement was just YouTube, and then a couple days later you did an email to your subscribers. And
right. Yeah, so everything's staggered, and like, there's a little bit of thought behind it. It's like, well, let's release the trailer and only have it on the website for a day, so that you have to tell people you have to go to the website, and then they'll see the pre-orders and hopefully get one. So there's a little bit of like business stuff going on there.
Mr. Business over there.
Mr. Totally.
President Business.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll keep, every week or so there'll be a thing that gives another sort of spike in sales or whatever. And so I'm trying to think of how to say it without giving actual numbers, but I'm a little over halfway to recouping, I believe, from what my understanding of what the costs the label has put in for, printing the vinyl and the graphic design guy and the PR guy and all that stuff. So that stuff has to be paid back before I get any money for it. So I think it's a little over halfway there, and it'd be nice to get there before the album comes out,
Yeah.
So I don't still owe money. Yeah.
So this is impossible to know, but just gauging if BC Music was not a part of this and this was just completely on your own, have you noticed any difference yet?
It's hard to say. I mean, especially because, the PR campaign has started, but it's still kind of ramping up. So if the guy can get some, big-ish reviews on big-ish websites, or even just a lot of reviews on a lot of little websites, like that could really change things. And I've never really pursued that ever before.
Yeah. So
that could be a huge difference. And then, I don't know, there's little stuff like, since I'm not shipping things myself, we have, I'm doing a CD this time, which I haven't released a CD in like 7 years because I didn't think people wanted CDs anymore. And then, like 3 different vinyl variants. So it's like, it allowed me to kind of just do a little more. And the website is fancier than it would have been. I just would have thrown it up on Bandcamp if it was just me, like I've done for the past 10 years or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, the site looks good.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I'll be able to answer that question better in like 5 weeks or 2 months. So,
and they, at least in previous releases, Bad Christian would talk it up for 4 or 5 episodes in a row. Do you know if they will do that on their podcast or?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
cool.
And actually by the time this comes out, I will have already been on their podcast.
Oh, okay. So, as a main guest?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I'm doing like a little spot at the end of the next 5 episodes, just as a short little ad on their main podcast and stuff.
Hey, yo, Andy, here's hey.
Get my banjo.
Hey, you want
You want some peaceful, calming music? You need to go to sleep. You're sitting on the porch drinking your coffee. Turn on lowercase noise.
So you want to go to a real peaceful place with God?
Tired of looking at your smartphone?
Wow, man. Listeners, Andy and I would never riff this hard in real life. Probably. Well, maybe we would now. Charlotte's Web opens up the mind to being like, I'm going to be silly right now. Who
the floodgates.
Fuck.
Yeah. So anyway, pre-orders going well, I think. There's more work. That the other thing is that since there's more happening, there's a little more work for me. So I'm still coordinating a lot of things and putting together a lot of things, and which is good. I wouldn't want to just give up, everything. So, I'm the thing I'm curious about. So, like I said, when this comes out, this will come out next Monday. And then the following Friday will be that second trailer. And then the Friday after that will be the first full single. So people can actually hear a full song.
And that will go Spotify, or where will it be available?
There's still some. It will definitely be on Spotify.
So I'm just curious how a single even goes out anymore,
right.
Where it goes.
Right. I could put it wherever. I could put a single on iTunes or whatever, but we're going to do a Spotify exclusive, and then hopefully find some website partner that would want to do an exclusive stream of it like a day before or 2 days before or something like that. That's kind of how the PR thing goes, is they pitch it and they say, hey, if you want an exclusive, because it's good for them too. Like all my people will go to their site for the exclusive SoundCloud stream or something. And whatever. So it's good for everybody involved. So we're trying to see if we can do a couple of those things. But the reason I say that is just because I'm really interested to see what happens when people actually hear a full song and what that does. Because it could be people like, oh, yeah, never mind. I'm not going to pre-order that. Or they'd be more stoked and be like, yeah, hell yeah, I am going to pre-order that. I was on the fence and now I'm going to. So I'm curious to see which way that goes. I don't know. Or maybe it'll make no difference. Who knows? But that's the part I'm curious about right now.
Yeah. Do you think your lowercase noises audience, if this doesn't make you uncomfortable to talk about, has it? Because you're fairly quiet on that channel, so to speak, like your social media places. But obviously you have this, but I don't know. I think only a fraction of them probably know about this or care, frankly.
Give a fuck about it.
Yeah. But have you seen, between This Is For Our Sins and now, do you think your audience has just kind of stayed put, or have they been jabbing at you? Where's our next thing? And has it gone down, or has it stayed the same or gone up?
It's definitely not gone down. Everything has generally gone up, but in terms of engagement, that's hard to see. Numbers, I'm talking numbers Facebook likes and YouTube subscribers, that's all still going up, which is good. But
I just picture some startup company that's like, how's our engagement going? They're in a boardroom and some guy gets fired because his engagement isn't high
too
enough.
Low.
Anyway,
it sounds like a Black Mirror episode. Where was I going with that? Yes, it's gone up. Yes, and
okay. Good.
Yeah, and you talked about how I'm quiet on those places, and it's, I'm less and less sure how to be on the official lowercase noises channels. It seems sort of silly to me, because I kind of want to make jokes about everything and just be like a dork on everywhere. But that doesn't quite fit the music a lot of the time, I don't think. And so it's like yesterday even, I went on Facebook, or not Facebook Live, YouTube. I did a live stream, and I did a live stream on Instagram. And it's just I don't know what people would expect I would be like given the music, but I just want to be stupid and funny. And I don't know if people expect that. And so it's I don't know really how to be on the official channels other than just like, here's some thing that's happening, and I'm not really infusing any of my person into it because I don't even know if it's appropriate or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll bet it would jar some people if you were your full self. And maybe it's better not to do that, which it sounds like that's kind of what you're saying.
But, yeah, and I try to I want to respect people who are there for the music because like they don't need to be bombarded by some stupid personality on top of it. Like that's just not necessary for this kind of thing. Like other artists who are very personal with lyrics, or I don't know, however they do their thing, like that's fine. Like Levi the Poet is a good example. Like it's hard to keep the person separate from the art. Yeah. Whereas with me, I feel like it's kind of doing it a disservice to infuse too much of myself into that, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about that about you the other day, that you're either like the most, your That's interests so are either like beautiful, elegant, this like subtle minimalist artwork, or it's just like new metal, Limp Bizkit, like stupid shows.
Run the Jewels.
Yeah, but I like that, and I do think, I mean, if I went into Lowercase Noises blind, I would think, oh, this guy's like probably really quiet and shy and like peaceful, and then wears his deep V's and like carries a Moleskine everywhere, and I don't know. You know, like a worship pastor or something who's all awkward and talks like Keaton Hampton or what's his name? Henson?
Keaton Henson.
Sorry, I don't listen to his music. I just know who he is.
It's too sad for you.
It totally is.
Yeah, I'm fine with not being a worship leader. I'd never want to be anywhere remotely close to a worship leader.
I thought that was kind of your brand. Like,
no.
Your hashtag brand.
No.
Okay, well.
By the way, everybody listening, go to lowercasenoises.com and pre-order the album. It's good for me and for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You should.
Hey, speaking of pre-ordering, you were the second order, Josh.
I wondered. I saw the little 002 and I was like, oh yeah.
Yep, you did
it. On my email receipt. Who was the first? I guess you shouldn't say their name if it's not one of our friends. Okay.
No, it wasn't someone I recognized. So
okay.
But you were in there, man. You did it.
I had to get that exclusive. Had to get the limited.
Yeah,
shit.
you got the splatter vinyl. It was only going to be 100.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I didn't need the package where I got your signature because I could just ask you for that at any time.
You could. Listen, buddy. You want any day? I'll mail you a letter.
Okay.
With a Siggy.
I wrote a piece recently. Someone asked me to write a short essay for a website called past10.org, and what it is, so it actually isn't out yet, which is fine. I just want to talk about it. It doesn't go up until June, but so the premise is he's asking the guy who runs it is asking author friends to write about where they were and what they were doing 10 years ago. And that
so 2007.
7, yeah.
Dang. So it was like my college days.
Right.
Dorm. Well, we were living together. Well, I'll let you. You can tell your damn story.
Not quite. I think that was 2008. But anyway, yeah. It. I mean, and luckily enough, I had journal entries from that time, which I hadn't looked at in forever. But
how was that?
2007 feels pretty recent to me. But looking at the journal entries, and I think this is the whole point of his project, is like, what have you accomplished since then? How have you changed? How has your life changed? And I mean, I'd never met my wife at that point at 2007. Right. I was, oh man. I mean, I cringe at it, but it's all, I've come a long way. And in that sense, it's like, okay, I see the progress, and that's actually wonderful.
Sure.
But yeah, I was so emotionally volatile, and working a job, working as a customer service person, who that did not lend well to my instability.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just, part of it is just like, dang, how did you, former me, like how did you sit through that and not get out of it? You're just, anyway. Yeah, so it was an interesting process, and it also made me think through, not in a puffed up way, but just like, dang, I have done a lot in 10 years, and that's cool. And it just, I don't know. I looked at it with fondness.
Wait, so I'm curious, how do you take something like that and something like, I'm just looking back 10 years and turn that into something, I mean, this is going to sound blunt,
that's
but
interesting to other people.
Interesting to read, yes.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Right. So he sort of gave some instruction that's like, make it very textured and full of detail, so that it's not just like, I did this and then I did this and then I did this. It's a bit more about the emotive feeling of the time, and even how your current self views it. And I don't know, just to make it more relatable, make it more universal. And so I took the approach of like, like my dad was newly sober at that time. My grandmother, who smoked 2 packs a day of Marlboros, she was still living, like dropping in little details that some people will resonate with, or that just, the details that are very personal that kind of suck you in. That's like, okay, this is a real guy. He has a real family with issues. And I ended up talking a lot about my turmoil with college, actually, because if you recall, I mean, I only attended for 3 semesters, and I was paying for it myself. And
you were going for a film thing, right?
Yeah. And even though it was community college, like I had gotten blocked from I was ineligible for the scholarship everybody gets in New Mexico. Right. So anyway, it was just like, I felt frankly like such a loser at that time because I thought college equated success and like being a responsible person. So anyway, that was a long answer, but I ended up mainly talking about that. And it was wonderful because I don't view college that way anymore. And I've mostly,
I was going to say, do you regret not finishing?
No way, not at all. Because I mean, frankly, like, no, not bashing on anybody, but a lot of my friends are now in huge amounts of debt because of school, and I have no debt at all. And that's the good thing for my life. And I seriously think I would have spent another 2.5 years and walked out with a piece of paper and still probably been working this job, and then just been a little further behind on my art stuff. So anyway, I'm not against college, but it's just not for everybody, and it was definitely not for me. It was not going to get me there.
If you're okay with a little tangent, what is your thought about college for your daughter? Or planning for it?
Yeah, I would say if she has something that she knows that she's interested in at that time and is passionate about it, great. Go to college for that.
Right.
But and that's about as far as I can say from this vantage point. But I'm not gonna indoctrinate her with this bullshit that you have to have college to get a job, or to have a good life or something.
Right.
Or to even get the job that you want. Not at all.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, for us, like we started saving a little bit of money for each of our kids, but we specifically, because there's my parents, for me, they had an account that was that they would put money in for me, but it could only be used for education. And I was like, you could only pull it out for like tuition on school and stuff.
Sure.
But for me, I was very specific. I was like, I don't want that kind of account. I want an account that's like in the minor's name, but has no restrictions on how they could use it when they turn 18. So,
really?
So it's their money, but there's no stipulation on how it has to be used. And I feel better about that because I'm the same way. It's like, I mean, I got lucky because I got the scholarship that you talked about missing out on. So it's in-state tuition.
And you
basically
had a
free.
little more of a specific path, though, too. Like
yeah. But I walked out of there with zero debt too, even after 4.5 years. So that was that's great. Amazing. And same with Megan, my wife. That's not normal. Two people coming out of college and getting married and neither having any school debt is insane. And that almost seems like the most important part of the whole thing. It's like, you're going to be learning stuff your whole life and you won't, we're sitting here 29 and 30 years old trying to sort through all this stuff. It's like, don't put yourself into so much debt that you can't explore things after college. I don't know. The debt thing is what gets me. I do not want that for my kids at all.
Right.
So,
yeah.
That's as far as my thinking and action goes in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to know, and I'm sure my thoughts will change as Olive grows and gets older and stuff. But I mean, Jordan Peterson, who was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he sort of alluded to the fact that just the college system in general is broken and overpriced, and people have access to all this information already that universities are kind of trying to prove their value when maybe not very much of it is left. And anyway, I'm not trying to go down a rabbit hole on that, but just I don't know, college might look really different by the time our kids are 18, and I kind of hope it does. I hope the school system finds a way to be less ridiculous. Like the idea that you should pay tens of thousands of dollars just to have the prestige of a school's name on a piece of paper, it just seems crazy.
Right.
Anyway,
I'm glad to hear that you don't regret it, though, because that would feel super shitty if you did regret it.
Right.
It'd be hard to go back, I'm assuming.
Yeah. No, I feel fine. There are still days when it gets at me of just like, would I be in a better position in life right now if I had...
In like a job prospect way or something?
Yeah, basically. It usually comes down to that. But anyway, I've got plenty to be thankful for. And I don't think that's true. So I don't think that part about college is true.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, Josh, you think should we do an internet comment here?
Yeah.
How about that to close us out?
Bring it.
All right. Yes. All right. I'm still trying to find it. There's a really good one. Okay. So here's an interesting story. All of a sudden, a couple days ago, one of my YouTube videos was getting like a crazy amount of hits, and the amount of subscribers like quadrupled overnight.
Whoa.
And I was like, what happened? And apparently YouTube put one of my videos like in a lot of people's like homepage that would be into ambient guitar stuff.
Nice.
Anyway, this is a comment from someone who saw it on that day or whatever.
Okay.
And so I'll tell you this guy's username. It's Big Dude 382.
He was like, dude's name was made for our show.
Big Dude. What's up, Big Dude? He says, why use all that equipment? The same thing could have been done with a keyboard and maybe an effect or two. And I don't know what got into me, but I responded, and here's what I said. I said, oh shit, you're right. Damn. Thank you so much. This will be incredibly helpful going forward.
Yes.
Because like, I don't know what he expected me to be like, oh, dang, yeah.
I never thought of that.
You're totally right, Big Dude.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, that's
wonderful.
I felt good about myself because I did a snarky response and I didn't feel bad about it afterwards.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like scared about the internet's going to come destroy me because I was snarky once to Big Dude 382. And Megan was like, are you going to get in trouble for that? I was like, I don't really care because that guy's a dick. So it's fine.
You wouldn't get in trouble for that.
I know. That's what I mean. But that's something I would.
With who? The internet police?
Or no, other YouTube commenters. I mean, that's something I would have had, trepidations about in the past. It's like, God, I'm worried about people, mob mentality and all this stuff. But
Sure.
this one, I was just like, man, I just want to say something funny to this dumb comment. And zero regrets. Kind of like you quitting college. I have zero regrets of typing that comment.
Oh, good. You should respond to more of them in that way. Did he completely? Did he ever reply? Okay.
No. 2 days
Put him
ago,
in his
still
place.
Nothing. Yeah. What's up, big dude? Should we try to do some? Let's see what this guy's into. Let's go to his profile.
That's a bit voyeuristic for me.
He has playlists. He has created playlists. Oh, with a bodybuilder guy. DC training, day 1, chest and triceps. He's a bodybuilder.
Hey, speaking of exercise, I got myself one of those silly chin-up bar things that goes in the door.
Oh, hell yeah!
I put it at work.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Andy, I've been doing 2-a-days.
You're bulking up.
I mean 2 pull-ups a day. Anyway,
I don't know if I can do a pull-up.
No, jokes aside, my arms are getting bigger, and it's nice to see the changes.
Yes.
I'm not trying to get ripped, and that would not be the way to get ripped. But
right.
I just did it to get some motion in the day.
Right.
Yeah, to get some energy out and try to be somewhat healthier. But anyway.
Okay, speaking of getting motion in the day, Megan just got a Fitbit like a week ago. Tracking her steps, and she's so like there's been multiple nights where she's like, I'm like 300 steps away from hitting my goal, and she'll just start like running around the house to reach her steps goal for the day. And then her dad got one, and so now they're like competing.
Oh boy.
I know.
Don't get Mark into it. He'll start a business.
Totally.
Oh, that's terrible. He'll start a Fitbit that has like a candle with it, and it has some honey.
These are inside jokes. My
like
father-in-law
salsa
has had a candle business and does all this other crazy stuff.
Hope that's not criticizing Mark at all. It's just like he's
incredibly successful.
He's had his different ventures. And my goal on this show is at least 70% to make Megan laugh, because that woman is a stone wall. There will be things I do on the show that I think Megan will laugh at, and then I'll be like, Andy, hey, what'd you think of that? And she's just no laughter.
Nothing.
And me too. She's just thinks our whole show is boy humor. Where were we, Fitbit? Anyway.
Yeah, and here, last story regarding my father-in-law and Fitbit. I was talking to him the other day. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to fly to Spain and go on a 500-mile walking pilgrimage. I was like, what? Okay. It takes like 34 days to walk 500 miles. And then, of course, you think about that song. It's like, well, 500 miles. I just wanted to...
boy.
Was that The Pretenders? Is that the band?
That or REM or something like that.
It's not REM, dude.
I don't know those bands. Anyways, one of those. If he does that, he needs to get a safari hat.
A big old flopper. That's what they're called, right?
Like the mailman wears.
The big flopper.
Why do the mailmen have those safari hats?
What do they think? They're hunting a lion or something?
Oh man. Trevor and I were talking about how we think a lot of mailmen in Denver get high while they do that, because he was like, think about your job. It's to go around and put things in boxes all day. Like, that'd be amazing while you're high. Makes sense.
Yeah, but you don't want to get sunburned either. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, oh my gosh, those safari hats. Like, in what other business than actual safaris do you wear?
Okay, so who are the people who wear them? So there's legit safari dudes and mailmen. and I mean, there's got to be more. Who else is there? Fly fishermen? No?
I mean, yeah. Well, but a safari hat is a pretty It's just such a ridiculous word. Anyway,
Safari
I mean, a
hat?
big wide hat. Yeah, sure, a fisherman could wear one.
Okay. Anyone who doesn't...
It's just a funny thing. Like, how did it end up being that? Why doesn't a mailman wear like a bandero hat? Or what is this called? Like the big... Or a sombrero? Well, no, there's another one.
What?
With like the dangly balls on it.
Isn't that a sombrero?
Well, no, but there's a flat brim hat.
Here, I'm going to do this sombrero with balls. Oh, Mexican sombrero golf balls. That's not what... Oh, answered... Oh, this is going to be great. Yahoo Answers. It says, what the fuck is this? Get Yahoo's... Oh my gosh. The question is, what are those little balls hanging from Mexicans' hats? And then this guy says, ever wonder? Question mark. Did illegals bring those hats with them? And then the best answer is just LOL. I love it. LOL. So apparently this is just a joke question.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, here's another answer. I've heard them called dingle balls, but I don't know the Spanish name for them. The hat itself is called a sombrero, worn with a poncho and the obligatory crossed bandoliers. That's what you're thinking of. And
yes.
Other assorted riding gear. You must be a tequila drinker to wear the sombrero. Sorry. So thank you, Yahoo Answers, for that.
Good old Incaneco, always exploring the world of hats. Well, that's probably as good a place to end as any.
All I know is from now on, I can mention a safari hat and you can die laughing.
Well, I might. I think I've recovered.
Okay. Well,
it's just extra funny to me right now. My goodness.
Good. All right. Well, we're getting out of here. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you so much. You're not done.
I guess I'm not. One time when Andy and Andy's wife and I were at Dion's. At Dion's,
is this
the pizza
the Frankfurt
place.
Story?
Yeah. I knew it. I know that doesn't make you laugh anymore, but it's still a funny thing that happened.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing at it right now.
At Dion's, the pizza place, they ask your name and then they say it over the intercom. And sometimes people say ridiculous things. So the whole story, here's what you're saying. But anyway, I told him my name was Frankfurt because at the time, the name made Andy laugh especially hard. So anyway, the only reason I thought of that, because that story is old now in you and I's history and not funny, but Frankfurt is like the equivalent of my safari hats for me right now.
Mm-hmm. Great.
You know what else mailmen do? They wear those damn fluffy Russian hats in the winter. What is with American mailmen? They're just adopting cultures.
It's so racist.
No, it's not racist. It's just very curious.
Don't appropriate other cultures' hats, you sons of bitches.
It's like at the USPS offices, all they had was like a giant box of props from some stage company, and they're just like, well, it's cold. Here's a Russian fuzzy blue hat. Like, go put things in boxes, you stoners.